Hare Krishna, and welcome everyone to our weekly Bhagavad Gita class. We have a very interesting topic coming up for discussion today. We are towards discussing verses from Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, and we are leaning towards the end of chapter 3. The last few verses we will discuss today, and we will hopefully, time permitting, we will conclude on the discussion of chapter 3 today. But they are most one of the most interesting discussion that's going to happen between Arjuna and Krishna. The topic for today is uh, just want to make sure that I have recording has started. Yeah, the recording is in progress. The topic for today's discussion is eternal enemy of devotees. We'll see about this enemy. We'll learn more about this enemy, and we'll also learn about uh, why it is so dangerous for devotees. And so, what is the Bhagavad Gita discussion on this particular topic? So, we are in Bhagavad Gita. We are here to transform ourselves. We are hoping to change ourselves. We consider ourselves to be materially minded today. We want to become spiritually minded. As Arjuna can be seen on the right hand side, he is cooperating with Krishna. He's not competing with Krishna. He's obeying Krishna's order, who is doing Krishna's will. Whatever Krishna want, he's doing. He's aligning his likes and dislikes with that of Krishna, and he's acting as per his instructions. So this transformation is what we hope to get into ourselves. We hope to see in within ourselves. So karo bhajo bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, karo Krishna shiksha. Mahaprabhu says that bolo Krishna, chant Krishna's name, bhajo Krishna, chant Krishna's name, and sing his glories. Describe his glories. Open your mouth only for chanting of Krishna's name or describing his glories. So, bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, worship Krishna only. Antakalicha mam evam. Very clear. Krishna is not leaving any room for interpretation. So, we have to bhajo Krishna and karo Krishna shiksha. We have to act according to the instructions given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavatam also contains instructions, but Bhagavad Gita is a concentrated instruction book that Krishna has given us, and every alternate verse is an instruction for us. And so many beautiful way in which Krishna has explained what needs to be done, what should not be done. The whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken on the basis of Arjuna's question that Pruchami Tvam Dharma Samudha Cheta. I'm in the bewildered state of mind. I'm in confused state of mind. And now I'm asking you, what is my dharma? What is it that I should be doing? What am I supposed to do? Always implies the another answer what I should not do. Because when I answer, give the question, give the answer to the question what I should do, everything else becomes something that I should not be doing. So, so Bhagavad Gita aims to give those answers to us, and some of those answers we will explore today, and some of it is extremely relevant to us, uh, or we see very prominently displayed in the society. So very relevant for today's time. We say that we are on the battlefield. we are every day is a struggle for existence, and therefore we our life is non different than a battlefield where every minute anything can happen. And so we have to be always cautious. We have to be always depend on Krishna for our survival and growth, and very much for everything that what we have. So the battlefield is something that we should never forget. It should always be in the back of our mind that we are on a battlefield. That will help us remain cautious and not become complacent. We are, as we said, we are towards the end of Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, and the 30th verse, that beautiful verse we discussed in our previous session, that Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasadhyatma Chetasaha Sanyasadhyatma Chetasaha Nirashir Nirmamo Bhutva Yuddhasva Vigata Jwaraha. So after telling Arjuna to fight in the verse 2.38, this is the first time Krishna has made a reference to the war to be fought. And then he says, fight without lethargy. Free from lethargy, you fight. And how you should fight? Nir ashir and nir mamo. Nir ashir means without any uh, without 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 having any desire for profit. And nirmamo, that nothing is mine. It is without proprietorship, without desire for profit, and without any claim for proprietorship. I should be fighting. You should be fighting. And that is sanyasadhyatma chetasa, with full knowledge of me. Why? How can you do this? How can you act in such a selfless way, such a nishkam way? Uh, that you will fight, but you will not desire for any profit, any name out of it, fame out of it, any material gain out of it. So name, fame, gain, without anything, if you have to fight, you have to have a higher consciousness. And that higher consciousness comes when we know about Krishna, when we know about Krishna Tatvataha. And when we know about Krishna, when we know something about Krishna in Tattva, then we become we become his devotees. The 10.8, that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate, and iti matva bhajante mam buddha sama bhava samanvita, that aham sarvasya prabhavo, everything is manifested from me, everything is originating from me, and I'm the cause of everything. I'm the Sarva Karana Karanam. So anybody who knows this, iti matva bhajante mam. If you know this, then you will start worshipping me, buddha bhava samanvitaha, and you will be considered as wise. So in the in the 15th chapter, 19th verse, also Krishna says something similar. That the whole chapter is about Purushottam Yoga, and Krishna says that if you uh, yomam evam asamudho janati purushottamam. That Purushottama, Uttama Purusha is the one from whom the whole Prasuti Purani, that the whole universe has come out of that Uttama Purusha. He existed when nothing existed, and he will continue to exist when everything will get destroyed. So he is beyond this Prakruti. So yomam evam asamudho janati purushottamam sa sarva vida bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Then what? When you get this knowledge, when you become full of knowledge with Krishna, what you do? Sa sarva vida bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. You start worshipping me by all your heart. In the 7th chapter, 19th verse, also Krishna will say something similar, that bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. That jnanis who are trying to learn, cultivate knowledge, who are trying to study Vedas and gather knowledge from different sources, they will have to try doing this for many births. Bahunam is not 1, 2, 20, 50, 100. No, it could be millions and billions of births one may have to take in the process of cultivation of knowledge. Janmanam ante. And after taking that end, what you will conclude? That Vasudevam Sarvam iti. Vasudev is everything. Vasudev Krishna is everything. Now, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Krishna says such a person is a Mahatma. But such a Mahatma has already invested multiple lifetimes into this study to come to the conclusion that Krishna is everything. I should worship Krishna. Jnanavan mam prapadyate. They will come and surrender into me. But when, after investing millions and millions of their lifetimes in understanding the scriptures and their meanings, so this is a hard this is a tough luck, because there, during those millions and millions of lifetimes, there could be many, many distractions that can also prevent us from continuing with our study. So, so there is a great danger of we not being able to complete our study and come to the conclusion that Vasudevam Sarvamiti, and then Prapadyate, we can go and surrender unto Vasudeva. That may not happen if we only depend on our own ability to gain knowledge by the study of the scriptures. So, what is the alternate? Alternate is surrender to Guru, surrender to a guru, and accept this same learning in the and accept this get the same learning that this Gyani will get at the end of millions and millions of lifetime today. Get the same learning today, that Vasudevam Sarvamiti. So Prabhupada says in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, at least theoretically we should accept Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead and then study Bhagavad Gita. If we are in that mood, we will understand Bhagavad Gita. We will understand who Krishna is. We will understand what is our relationship with him. And you will then act according to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. Else there is no hope. There's no hope for you to gain any benefit out of Bhagavad Gita. But it's like licking honey bottle from the outside. You are seeing the honey, but you are not able to get any access to it. This honey is not accessible to those who are who are envious tendencies towards Krishna, who are envious of Krishna, his position, his power, his opulence. If you become envious of Krishna, you cannot love Krishna, and then you cannot understand Bhagavad Gita, you cannot understand his words, and then you cannot surrender to him, and then you remain trapped in this material existence perpetually. So Gyanavan mam prapadyate. Vasudevam Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Suturlabha. So, with full knowledge of me means when we get full knowledge of Krishna, we surrender to Krishna and we start worshipping Him. Then Krishna becomes our center of all our activity. So, whatever we desire it for the service of Krishna. Hence, there is no personal profit, no more desires left for personal profit. We understand everything happens with the mercy of Krishna. My I all my abilities come from Krishna, all my intelligence come from Krishna, my knowledge come from Krishna, my remembrance come from Krishna, my forgetfulness come from Krishna. Hence, whatever I may achieve in life, I have no ability to claim any benefit out of it, any proprietorship of it. Without Krishna's mercy, I am useless. I cannot do anything. I cannot speak. I cannot see. I cannot hear. I cannot live. I cannot survive. And hence, everything, all of our achievements, so-called achievements in this material world, I should know I'm not the proprietor of those. Vasudevam Sarvamiti. Because of Krishna's grace, I've been able to achieve whatever I have achieved. Hence, devotees have no proprietorship to their achievements. Yudhishthir Maharaj practically ruled the whole planet, but he was not claiming to be the owner of those that property. He lived in a palace. He had many wives, he had children, but he considered all of this to be Krishna's gift. He used it only to the extent required. And the moment he heard about Krishna having wound up his pastime and left for his abode, that very moment, uh, much of without creating a scene, he simply left. He established Parikshit as the king, and he left for the forest, left, started walking in the direction of north, and all his brothers followed him. Draupadi followed him. Eventually, everybody gave up their bodies and went back to Krishna. So that no proprietorship. If you have that mindset of proprietorship, it would have become impossible for him to give up his palatial life, his treasure, his position of power, his opulence, his so much facility, so much ability to enjoy. Not that he was old and useless, he was never he never considered himself to be the owner of those things, and hence giving up those things was as easy as we give up stool in the morning. With the same mentality, he just walked out free from lethargy. He simply went, and that shows the right mood that we should cultivate in the Krishna consciousness. Now, how is it possible? It is possible only when we act faithfully. We Krishna says in the 31st verse that those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy. So we have to be faithful to Krishna, and we have to be non-envious towards Krishna. And then these people become free from the bondage of creative actions. Then we can become free from the bondage of creative actions. Our current actions don't produce new result, and at the same time we are not so our previous fruits get evaporated by performance of bhakti. Current actions don't give rise to new fruits, and hence we become eligible, our slate becomes clean, and we become eligible for going back to Krishna and serving him eternally in his abode. Not enjoying with him but serving him, that is a difference. In the contrast, those who don't listen to the instructions of Krishna, those who don't have sufficient faith on Krishna, um, they are envious towards Krishna. What happens to them? But those who, out of envy, disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly, do not follow them regularly. So, if that's why we insist that attend every Sunday, be regular in the class, because that's we forget in the course of our day, in the course of our week, in the course of taking care of our material activities, we are bound to forget the teachings of Krishna. And hence we may then we if we forget these teachings, we will have the sense of proprietorship, we will have the sense of ownership towards our possessions, and with this we will not be able to uh, we will then act we will act for profit, and we will have ownership, sense of ownership in whatever we do, which means we will not be able to act in complete Krishna consciousness, and we cannot then become free from the bondage of creative actions. We may not be doing anything wrong, but we are still incurring karma, and we are still accumulating a lot of fruits of our karma, and as a result we will not be able to go back to Krishna. Another beautiful verse we discussed in detail, that there are principles to regulate attachment and aversions pertaining to the sense and their objects. So the sense and their objects, how should we deal with that topic? Now, very clear instruction Krishna gave that there are principles to regulate attachment. So one should understand and the need for regulation. We have senses and we have capacity to perform some actions by which some pleasure can be given to those senses, but we need to still regulate this activity, and shouldn't get overly attached to the senses and the sense objects. One should not come under the control of such attachments and aversions, because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. This is what we all discuss, the stumbling blocks, and um, why should we they will prevent us from acting wisely. Bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, karo Krishna shiksha, the simple instruction by Mahaprabhu, we will not be able to follow simple instructions also if we allow unregulated sense enjoyment, to for the for with the sense object, different sense objects to the senses. If we give too much freedom to our senses, then none of those will be possible for us to do. Hence we need to regulate the senses, the activities of the senses and their objects. So there has to be a regulation. Now Now, Arjuna was listening to all of this very attentively, and he realized that it's not easy. The instruction given by Krishna is to regulate, is to be able to uh, is to basically to regulate our activities, but it doesn't happen that way. Act in act in a nishkam way, act without attachment, act without desire for profit and ownership, proprietorship. But all of those instructions, Arjuna has seen people violate those instructions. People are not able to act according to those instructions, and in fact the contrary to that is what people get attached. People get indulge into the sensual activities, not just for pleasure but also for self-destruction. It leads to self-destruction. So Arjuna is worried why it's happening. Then Arjuna uvacha athakena prayukto yam papam charati purushaha anichanna api vaishneva baladiva niyojitaha. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna is saying that Athakena Prayuktoyam, that, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled? Impelled to sinful act. Papam charati purushaha. That Purusha, people, living entities, human beings especially, are forced to act in sinful ways. Why? By what? He's asking, by what one is impelled, is one impelled to act in sinful way, even unwillingly, anichan, as if engaged by force. Api Vaishnava baladiva niyojitaha, as if by force one is forced to act in a sinful way, much against their own desires. So, what is really happening? Why is this question? We'll go through the purport. The purport Prabhupada says that a living entity as part and parcel of the Supreme is originally spiritual, pure, and free from all material contaminations. So these purports are masterstroke. Prabhupada has written beautiful purports all throughout Bhagavad Gita, but especially chapter 3 purports are simply masterstroke. And you should try to read each purport and try to relate it with your own life, and then you will see so much correlation, so much learning, so much to gain by understanding this purport. So we have retained a large part of our slide is purports only, and we have tried giving as much purport as possible. So by simply by reading this, understanding this, we can and get the point that Prabhupada is making very, very easily. A living entity, as part and parcel of the Supreme, is originally spiritual, pure, and free from all material contaminations. Therefore, by nature, he is not subject to the sin of the material world. But when he is in contact with the material nature, he acts in many sinful ways without hesitation and sometimes even against his will. As such, Arjuna's question to Krishna is very sanguine, as to pervert as to pervert perverted nature as to the perverted nature of the living entities. Although the living entity sometimes does not want to act in sin, he is still forced to act. Sinful actions are not, however, impelled by by the super soul within, but are due to another cause, as the Lord explains in the next verse. So the question is, what make us act in destructive way? The question is, important question is now, everyone please pay attention. Now, what is it really? The Krishna is actually saying that much against your own desire, you are acting sinful ways, you are committing sinful activities, as if you are being forced to do that. Now, we understand that we exist at three level. We have spirit, soul, who are covered by mind, intelligence, and false ego, and that is covered by the gross body. So we have our mind and intelligence and ego inside us. And this body can be seen, felt, and touched, and these three subtle elements cannot be seen, felt, and touched. However, they exist. The faculty of mind exists. There's a whole psychology, even though it is called half science, exists. The whole intelligence, we understand that some have, we are trying to measure that intelligence by way of different tests. So we understand it is less in some people, it is more in some other people. And there is ego. There's an ego that Aham Brahmasmi. There's a I am Indian. That's ego. I am Brahmin community. That is ego. I am a Maharashtrian. That is also ego. I am a chartered accountant. Even that is a ego. I am a healthy boy. As a ego. I am unhealthy. That is also ego. So everything, anything, everything and anything that we associate with our body and consider it to be mine and ours is our false ego, that we are attaching with our body, identifying ourselves as a body and thinking uh, everything in connection with this body to be ours. That is false ego. So Krishna, so this is where we are all suffering with these things. So so the question is really, what make us act in in this destructive way? So Krishna, when speaking to Arjuna, he's saying work without detachment. The word he uses nishkama, to work without selfish desire or attachment. So in the context of Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna is asking this question, that what force people to act in sinful way, he is actually referring to the discussion, ongoing discussion on Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so Arjuna is asking, what is it you're telling me, advising me to work in a way that is nirmamo, nirashir, nirmamo bhutva. Nirashir, without any desire for profit and neither without claiming ownership on the result. I should act, but people don't. People act in the opposite way. People not only want to claim their work as theirs, they sometimes end up claiming other people's work also to be theirs. They want to take credit for something they have not done. And so that's very commonly seen. So opposite is happening. What is happening? Whatever Krishna is advising, opposite to that is what is happening. So Arjuna is asking, what make us become attached? What make us do things that we know we shouldn't do? So Arjuna's context is in terms of the Bhagavad Gita flow, to work with detachment. But what is it that make us attach? Not just attach in the ordinary sense, but attach in a terribly destructive sense. So it's not just attachment that he's worried about. He's worried. His worry is much deeper. He's seen people destroy themselves when they get attached. When they get attached to the lusty desires, they end up destroying themselves. So why so much attachment? From where you get so much attachment? What is it that causes them to act in that way? Now Arjuna is genuinely asking this question. So for humans, and this self-destructive ways of attachment, terribly destructive sense, what is it that we get attached to in a terribly destructive sense? So just like Krishna will use lust, anger, greed while giving his various examples. In the 16.21 he will say that lust, anger, greed are three gateways to hell, three royal road to hell. Royal roads. Yeah, very smooth ride you will have. As if you are on these roads, you will have a very smooth ride to hell. So similarly, Prabhupada has used these three examples in various discussions, that cigarette, drugs, and alcohol is something on a parallel line of lust, anger, greed, because these three things are so commonly seen in the society today that we don't have to think really as to really this does this exist. So it's so common. So for human, cigarette, drugs, and alcohol might look like food or a substance, but the object, but none of these actually nourishes us. They don't even look like food or any substance that is nourishable to us. Um, so the object that nourishes are different than the objects that we perish for. We all know that these substances are dangerous, yet cigarette smoking is dangerous for health, but And who doesn't know that? However, cigarette smoking is increasing in the society. Earlier, men used to smoke, and now women smoke. Now children smoke. Everyone is trying to grab their hands on the cigarette butts and starts it smoking. Those who can't smoke, don't want to smoke real cigarettes, they are smoking electric cigarettes. In every flight, they make an announcement that don't smoke even electric cigarettes in the inside the flight. So everyone, it's not that you can not in flight, but otherwise you can smoke. But they can't advise people on the what they should do outside the flight. But at least they said, at least whenever, at least for the time that you are inside the flight, please don't smoke. So it's dangerous. Every cigarette pack comes with a warning that it can cause cancer, along with a picture of a person damaged lungs. But it's hardly a motivation for people to give up. There's hardly any motivation for people to give up smoking. Watching those pictures, they look that image and think, "Oh, that is bad luck for somebody else. For me, it will never happen." And simply ignore that warning and continue smoking. And sometimes they successfully survive through the life without getting cancer, and sometimes they get cancer at the age of 3 and 4 and 5, without having touched a cigarette in this lifetime. So so the karma gets delivered, the karmic reactions get delivered. It's just a matter of time when they will get delivered. So cigarette smoking, even though everyone knows it's dangerous, people are hooked to it, can't give that up. People says that giving up cigarette smoking is very easy. I have done that over 100 times. So you give up and then you again go back to old ways, and it's very difficult to give it up completely on our own. drinking Drinking has become such a social custom nowadays. Everyone seems to be drinking, and if you happen to say that you are the one who don't drink, you are odd man out. uh, so in office environment, if you pick any 100 people, more than 60, 70 of them probably would have tasted alcohol or must be irregularly participating in drinking activity. So such is a high percent of people who are nowadays drinking. And people from all caste, all creed, and all social circles are drinking. Those who have a lot of money, maybe they are drinking imported wine, imported alcohol. And those who have less money, maybe they are drinking locally manufactured products. And those who are very less money or practically no money, labor class, they they drink some cheap substance. After sometimes they get poisoned by drinking that as well, and they a lot of people die. uh, so there was a big news on one of the year-end parties at one village became very nightmarish because about 100 people got affected by that poisonous alcohol that was made in that village only. So drinking, everyone knows. There is a warning. People say that drink but don't become drunkard. Drink but don't become drunkard. Why? Because they understand that there is an inherent danger in this activity, that if you will get hooked to drinking, eventually you will um, you will get addicted to the drinking, and then you will want to drink no matter what. Even if you'll not have money, you will beg, borrow, steal, and you will still want to drink. So there is a danger. The drugs is the worst of all of this. This doesn't even promise any pleasure, not even in the initial stage. Right from the word go, it's a risk. It's a huge risk, and still people take it. Nowadays, this kind of drugs are available in hostels to the students, to the working class who are living outside their homes. Very easily accessible, very unfortunately cheaply available. At drop of hat, also this is available. So unfortunately, this is what people are getting hooked to. People are indulging in all these activities without any restrictions, and that is what is causing them, they're destroying themselves. So it seems, so in the past century, the human beings have less danger, less risk from outside, but the more risk is emerging from within. That the chance that you being killed by somebody else are less, but the chance that you will indulge in self-destructive habits is far greater. So you will be destroyed by your own self. The chances of that happening are more today. That is why we have very increased level of depression amongst people. The mental health diseases are extremely common. Practically every alternate person would have gone through anxiety attacks, would have suffered from depression, would have suffered, uh, would have would have some self-destructive thoughts would have crossed their minds many times. They must be indulging in very angry abusive behavior very often. uh, they are experiencing lack of control over their mind, emotions, feelings, and the words they speak, the action that they take. Everything, life seems to be out of control for many people nowadays. And earlier, there was less of awareness of this. Now, with the awareness, more and more stories are coming to the surface, which is helping us understand how deep rooted this mental health issue has gone in our society as well. Our society, India, was considered to be the spiritual capital of the world. But having distanced ourselves from the spirituality, Bhagavad Gita, teachings of Bhagavad Gita, we are blindly copying the West. And hence, by doing what they do, we are experiencing all the negative influences and the side effects of our own actions, uh, in the form of those mental health diseases that everybody practically seems to be suffering from. So this was common in West earlier, and now it has become common in India. Why? Because we are simply blindly copying the West. We are doing what they did, and we are suffering from what they were suffering. So instead of becoming a solution for the West, we become part and parcel of their problem itself. And this is primarily happened because we forgot our legacy. We forgot Bhagavad Gita. We went away from Krishna. The scale of addiction is huge. And some statistics, about 1 million people around the world light up cigarettes for the first time. Uh, 15 million people worldwide succumb to the drugs. And about 240 million people around the world are into alcohol in a destructive way. Not just one sip, not just one, uh, not just once a week, not just once a day, but in a destructive way. Means if they're not given alcohol, they can kill someone. They can do some criminal activity to get hold of that alcohol, which they feel they must have, or else they will die. And in order to, so they're drinking to survive. This was not never their intent when they took their first drink. They wanted it for enjoyment. Now they want to drink for survival, because they feel if they will not drink, they will die. And hence they are into they are into drinking. They are by hook or by crook, they want to drink. By selling everything that they have, they want to indulge into drugs. So this is become a destructive habit now, which initially was very promising to be a great pleasure, has now become a big distraction for us. And is really prepared to destroy us completely. So these are alarming numbers. So what is it that make us behave in that way? Let's understand this by going a little deeper. They can't see the battles in my heart. They can't see the battles in my heart. And that's true. We all would have said this sentence sometime. You can't understand what I'm going through. Their wordings can be different, but all we are trying to say is there is something inside me. There's a battle that's going on inside me. Apparently, prima facie, I may look calm and composed and not revealing what's happening inside me, but inside me, there is a big chaos. Inside my heart, there's a big chaos which you can't see. And I'm struggling to make peace inside me. Inner peace is something missing, and hence I'm not able to act properly. So, so you can't see it. So this is what is very commonly spoken dialogue by many people. Maybe the wordings will be different, but this is what they mean. Another beautiful term was that I stopped fighting my inner demons. We are on the same side now. I stopped fighting my inner demons. We are on the same side. There is no question of fighting. So if I want to watch pornographic images, watch blue films, or watch obscene images and videos. Now it's a habit. It's a habit. I got somehow got hooked to it. Now, this is the data is so cheaply available. Internet is available everywhere. The 5G and 4G connectivity ensures that we are just a one click away from getting access to those obscene images and videos. So it's difficult to fetch water from the fridge today, but it's easier to get get access to the obscene material on the internet. It's that easy. Just desire and it pops up. Just speak into your phone and it will pop up it on your phone. So it has become that easy. Now, if I stop, if this one has to, we have to understand that this is an inner demon. This is a demoniac side of me. This is something I should not be doing. However, when I give up fighting, then we are on the same side. So if I want to watch those kind of a videos, my mind, uh, my mind, the moment that thought comes to my mind create a imagine a great pleasurable scene, that I'm watching these videos and I'm enjoying like anything. And that's how my desire to watch those videos becoming stronger. Why? Because my mind is busy painting imaginary pictures of me enjoying watching those videos. And then my intelligence is busy making plans to how I can watch those videos without getting caught. I might be in office, I might be at home, I might be in the marketplace, public place, and I don't want to get caught. So my brain will make nice arrangement, create a nice plan to make sure that I don't get caught. So what is happening? We are all on the same side. There was a demon inside me, and he was pushing me to do something wrong. And instead of fighting with this demon, I'm cooperating with this demon. So they are on the same side now. So we do all of this in different ways. So it's not for someone outside this meeting. It's for all of us. We all done this. At least I have done this in past, and definitely we have to be, unless we are careful, we might end up doing it again and again. 25 years ago, Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear. It happened during one of the boxing match in Las Vegas, and one of the strangest modern in modern sport history. Tyson said that somebody inside him forced him to do that. It's not that he do it regularly, but as he was losing the battle, as he was facing defeat, in that moment of frustration, he went and bit off the ear of his opponent. Very horrible act. It was bleeding. His ear started bleeding. The the flesh came out. Very horrible scene. It was all live telecasted on the television, but that is what happened. The demoniac side became so prominently forceful that Tyson knew it's wrong, but he ended up still doing it. So these inner demons that we are talking about are not ghastly, horrible looking beings out there to destroy us. We have demoniac mentality. We all have demoniac mentality which force or compel us to act in horrible self-destructing ways. We all have demoniac mentality which force or compel us to act in horrible self-destructing ways. So if you're used to watch Bollywood.com, assume there is a site, starts with B, and you've been regular visitor of this website. So the moment in the Google, the moment you type B, Google understand, the computer understand that you want to go on the Bollywood.com. So it will autocomplete for you, Bollywood.com. You feel happy. Earlier you felt happy that you don't even have to type so many letters, BOLLYWOOD.com. You don't have to do anything. Computer has become so intelligent that the moment I type B, it auto completes it to be Bollywood.com, and you're happily surfing that website, watching whatever you wanted to watch. Now you have done some courses, you started attending weekly Bhagavad Gita classes online. Now you want to figure out bhagavadgita.com. Now bhagavadgita.com, you want to search for that kind of a website, and you go to Google and you type B, and Google, remembering all your past actions, autocomplete it as bollywood.com. And now you're frustrated. Earlier you used to feel happy seeing that bollywood.com website coming up automatically. Now you're unhappy when that website pops up, because Google has, having seen you do that activity in history, Google is trying to assume that today also you want to do the same activity, and hence it is proposing you to go to the bollywood.com website. Now, having learn Bhagavad Gita, you want to go to bhagavadgita.com website. And hence, now there is an effort for you to click into that type chat box, delete everything, just retain B and complete bhagavadgita.com, bhagavadgita.com. So there is an extra effort that is involved now, that wherein you have to delete your overwrite your bollywood.com with bhagavadgita.com. You have to delete first and then overwrite on top of it, write bhagavadgita.com. Now the there is, what is happening here? So there was action in history, historical, there was a repeated action, not only action but a repeated action. Not just once you went to bollywood.com, you went multiple times. So there is a hardware and there is a software. Okay, hardware also remembers that you've been visiting bollywood.com repeatedly, every day, maybe once a week, maybe once a month, but you've been very regular visitor of bollywood.com, and that is what your hardware also understands. And you may do this search in some, say, Google software, and by opening Google you must be used to type bollywood.com. So in the Google software also, this history is stored, that the login of Mandar Thatte uh, will search whenever this login person login with this login, whenever he types B, he wants to go to bollywood.com, because this is the one website he's been visiting daily. So so the hardware knows it, software knows it. Okay, and they both have retained these impressions. So every time we take this action, the hardware and the software both have remembered, both are getting a remembrance that you want to visit bollywood.com. So every such action has created impression, and each of that impression in future will give us proposition. Each of those impressions will give proposition. If impressions for bollywood.com are more, there may be many websites starting with the word B. but uh, but bollywood.com has been a frequently visited website, then both the hardware and software remember them as your preferred choice. So the moment you type B, they send that proposition of bollywood.com by auto completing your chat window. Uh, Now this is the proposition comes from the mind. Now, the proposition, and then if we again click on that Bollywood.com, then there's a repetition of action. But the proposition becomes get a confirmation that yes, you are right. I'm right. The Google has proposed you to go to Bollywood.com, and now you have clicked on the Bollywood.com. So Google understand that they were right. Your physical machine has proposed you to go to Bollywood.com. Now they also understand that they are right, and because you have actually clicked on, you felt happy and you clicked on Bollywood.com and you are now accessing that website. So repetition of action creates eventually addiction. So what is happening is action, there is an inner impression. From that inner impression comes the proposition to indulge in that same impression, to go to the repeat that activity. Then the repetition of action. We actually do that activity and then eventually that leads to addiction. Why? Because by repeated indulgence, by repeated indulgence, the inner impressions and the mental propositions become so strong that they are difficult to resist. What is happening is by constantly engaging in those, repeatedly taking those actions, by repeatedly going to Bollywood.com, by every time I type B, Google autocompletes Bollywood.com, I click on it and I go to that website. Now, by doing this repeatedly, if we have done this sufficiently, we will get addicted to go to the Bollywood.com. It will be very difficult for us not to go there, even if sometimes we have to, we don't want to. So, so at a bodily level, you know, these habits are there. This is called muscular memory, muscle memory, muscular memory, and there is mental memory also. The muscle also remembers that this is what I've been doing, and in the moment our body gets into the situation, um, then the muscle memory also remind us of doing those actions. And then there is a software of mind which also produce the same proposition, and then it becomes practically irresistible for us now not to do those things. Now we've spoken about cigarettes, cigarette smoking, alcohol drinking, and consuming drugs, and we also spoke about um, watching watching pornography and obscene images, pornographical videos, and all of that. Now, all of this we may all of this becomes stronger by every indulgence. Every time we indulge into this, the impressions become stronger, the propositions push from the mind comes, that also becomes stronger, and then it becomes very hard to resist. So these are our inner demons that Krishna is referring to. So when someone says that they have inner demons, what's really happening? What is really happening is that the inner impressions have become so strong and the propositions have become so swift, so quickly. The proposition comes in front of us that we don't get any time to think and resist. And hence, we end up doing things which we may regret later, but at that time we do it as if somebody forcefully made us do those things. We may feel bad about it, but while doing it we just can't. We become so powerless, we become so helpless, that we just don't, in a flash moment, in a flash of a moment, we end up doing those things and then we regret later. These propositions have become swift and impressions have become so strong, that these propositions have become so strong that we find it very difficult to resist. They can't. It's just so too strong, and that's how we become bound. When we consider inner impurities, the Vedic literature talk about six impurities, which are called shadrupus, which can can think of as the six inner demons. One, lust. Second, anger, greed. Lust, anger, greed, oftenly talked about. Envy, Krishna spoke about in 31, 32, pride and illusion. These six demons, amongst them, the Bhagavad Gita focuses on three: the lust, anger, greed, which are often referred to as a royal gates, royal highway to hell, and the destroyer of soul in the Bhagavad Gita, 16.21 verse. So that is what about inner demons. Now Arjuna has already inquired. Now Krishna is going to answer, clarify on his doubt that why are people why people act in sinful ways, sometimes even against their own desire, even if they don't want to, they are as if forced to act in a sinful way. I will just take a pause just to take a make a moment just to understand if everyone was able to follow whatever we discussed so far. There are 82 of us, 81 of us apart from me, but take to the chat box. Before we jump into the another topic, it will be a continuation of thing. Yes, overthinking, negative thinking comes in this same definition. Now we don't want to do that, but helplessly as if we are doing it. So can you type, if you can resonate with what we are talking about, if you could just relate with whatever we discussed so far, type yes. And if you want a more clarification, if you find it completely unrelated, you can type no. Yeah. Do we all suffer? Do we all have experienced this sometime or the other, that we ended up doing things which we regretted later, as if we didn't knew who forced us to do what we did? Somebody else as if is acting through us and then doing things. It's relatable. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There are lots of yeses. So, so that's true. It's unfortunately very relatable, and that's what makes Bhagavad Gita not just a spiritual book. It's a practical book because this is all what it contains. And by right having right guidance, we can know that we are part of the problem. It's not that we are outside, we are alien to these problems. These are our own problems as well. They're not limited to Arjuna's problem. Now Arjuna was asking this question for us, that why people, if this is your message that I should act in a selfless way, why people act in selfish way? What force people to be selfish? Now this very practical question. And that is what is binding people, keeping them perpetually in the material world. So Arjuna is worried for himself as well as he's worried for all of us, and hence he raised this question, and Krishna is now going to give beautiful answer. Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapam vidyenam vidyenam iham vairinam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all devouring sinful enemy of the world. It is lust only. The enemy is identified as lust. And what is the origin? Origin is born of contact with the material mode of passion. Now, mode of passion. Now, remember, this information is not nowhere available. These modes of material nature are not explained in any spiritual book, and this is what makes Bhagavad Gita so special and so unique and so much important, because it gives such an advanced information. And hence we say that by studying all the scriptures you can come to the same conclusion, that you need to love and serve God, but you may not be able to do that. Why? Because the information on modes of material nature is missing from all scriptures. Bhagavad Gita in Krishna, 18.42, Krishna will speak about qualities of Brahmana, Brahmanical qualities. When anybody who wants to claim to be a Brahmana, what qualities should he possess? And he present a list of those qualities as Shamo, Damas, Tapas, Shaucham, Shantim, Arzavam, Evam cha, Jnanam, Vijnanam, Astikyam, Brahma, Karma, Swabhavajam. That Shamo, Damo, Stapa, Shama, Dama, Stapa, that peaceful, peaceful self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness are the natural qualities by which Brahmanas work. Now, uh, everyone is in the mode of is in Prabhupada used to say that everyone is a Kshudra in the material world. Whoever has taken birth is a Kshudra, no matter what their last name is, because these qualities are practically invisible today. Nobody possesses these qualities. That peacefulness, self-control, shama, dama, tapa, shama, dama, tapa, shaucha, shantim, arzavam. These qualities just don't exist today. So everyone, but by and so everyone is practically a kshudra today. But by practicing Krishna consciousness, you can gradually progress from this tamoguna to rajoguna and rajoguna to sattva. So brahmanical qualities are considered to be sattvic qualities. Brahmanas, when they live life in by demonstrating these qualities, that is considered to be sattvic lifestyle. Now this is not spiritual yet, but it is still sattvic. It is better than tamasic and rajasic. So the sattvic lifestyle one can learn only if he's regulating his sensual activity, which is the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. The whole subject matter of Bhagavad Gita help us identify the need for regulating our sensual activity and cultivating brahmanical qualities to become fixed in at least sattva guna. Once we are in sattva guna, we can transcend to the shuddha sattva, wherein we're no longer interested in doing activities for our own selves, but we will do act only for the pledge, giving pleasure to Krishna. For our purification and for giving pleasure to Krishna, we act. And that is Shuddha Sattva. So this is that people can go to Shuddha Sattva only if they have come to the level of Sattva Guna, or at least they are closer to Sattva Guna. None of the scriptures of this religions of this world teach you to come to the level of sattva guna also, because most of those don't even recognize the existence of guna. And any restriction that you will put will they fearful that any such restrictions that you will put will drive people away. So they got rid of all the restrictions from their scriptures, which made their scriptures practically of no use, because by studying those scriptures you will not even come to the tamoguna or come to the level of sattva, what to speak of going to the shuddha sattva, where you will act only for giving pleasure to Krishna. So that activity, that situation is very difficult to come, very difficult to reach, because there is no progression that has been described in those scriptures, and that is what makes Bhagavad Gita extremely special and extremely advanced amongst all the scriptures of the world. Every scripture potentially will have capability of transforming your life, but practically it may not happen because of the lack of regulative principles and lack of transformation, lack of transition from lower modes to higher modes. That is missing. In If that is missing, then your progress becomes practically impossible. So this beautiful verse that Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of the contact with the material mode of passion, that is Rajoguna, and later transformed into wrath, that is anger, and which is all devouring. The lust and anger is what Krishna is speaking about, and he's calling it to be all devouring sinful enemy of this world. So this can destroy the world. The world today is going through war, and this is there's a lust to possess something, and anger when you don't get it your way, and then that leads to a war being imposed on the world where everyone is going to suffer. So when a living entity, so we see the sense of ownership. The Middle East countries feel that they own the oil. Oil is owned and controlled by Krishna. When Krishna will desire, he can make this whole oil disappear from where they are today. Because so nobody should claim ownership on this, because this none of their property. It just happened to be where their country is, but it's not that they have produced. It's not that they can generate. So the the battle over the ownership of oil is completely useless. So nobody so that is what is happening, because we lack spiritual education, and the lives will be lost. So many lives will be lost over the position of that oil, and so much wealth of this world will get destroyed. So many lives will be lost, and for something which is actually owned by Krishna, owned and controlled by Krishna. So instead of becoming surrender to Krishna, uh, we can get into this such self-destructive ways as we see today. Prabhupada write in the purport to 3.37, when a living entity come in contact with the material condition, his eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust in association with the mode of passion. And Prabhupada gave example of how milk gets converted into yogurt, dahi, by when it comes in contact with tamarind. So then again, when lust is unsatisfied, it turns into wrath. Wrath is transformed into illusion, and illusion continues the material existence. Therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity, and it is lust only which induce pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. Our, our, we are supposed to end our existence in the material world by returning to the spiritual world. And human form of life is considered to be the best opportunity for doing that. But lust and lustful actions, lusty desires, the anger which arises when my lust is not satisfied, and the illusion that I get into when I become angry continues my material existence for perpetuality. Why? Because when I act in that way, I continue to produce fruits of my action, karma phala, and I need to finish those karma phala by suffering or enjoying those phala, the fruits. So I'm forced to take birth in the material world again and again to enjoy or suffer for those fruits of action. And that way, my existence in the material world practically continues for eternity. I have then no hope. So, unless I overcome this lust, I will not be able to go back to my spiritual world. So that's why lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity, and it is lust only which induces pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. Prabhupada write further that wrath or is anger is the manifestation of the mode of ignorance. These modes exhibit themselves as wrath and other corollaries. If therefore the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is elevated to the mode of goodness by prescribed method of living in acting, then one can be saved from the degradation of wrath by spiritual attachment. What is happening is we are here. There's a sattva guna, rajoguna, and tamoguna. Now we are here. All of us have mode of passion in us, mode of rajoguna in us. Now Prabhupada saying this rajoguna can be degraded to tamoguna, can go down or can be brought up. Now, bringing up requires special effort. By We have to practice the prescribed method of living and acting in Krishna consciousness. Need to follow the four regulative principles, and we need to perform some sadhana, some basic hearing and chanting, um, reading of Bhagavad Gita, chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and hearing Krishna Katha. And by doing these two activities, we can be elevated to the mode of goodness. So all of us are in the mode of passion. We have to decide whether we have to degrade to the lower mode, or we want to upgrade to the higher mode of goodness, or sattva guna. From sattva, it is easier for us to elevate to the shuddha sattva, that is devotional service, pure devotional service. But it's very difficult to go from tamoguna to shuddha sattva, rajoguna to shuddha sattva. We need to cultivate at least some qualities of sattva guna, and that is what is recommended. Prabhupada writes that living entities have partial independence, but by misuse of their independence, when the service attitude is transformed into the propensity for sense enjoyment, they come under the sway of lust. So originally we were loving Krishna. Now we are competing with Krishna. We are envious of Krishna. Originally, we had a loving service attitude towards Krishna. We wanted to serve Krishna. We were happy by serving Krishna. We were becoming happy by serving Krishna. Now we are service attitude has been transformed into the enjoyment, the propensity to enjoy. Now we don't want to serve anymore. We want to become the enjoyer. We want others to serve us. And that enjoying mentality is the opposite of service attitude. Lust is opposite of love. So when we get this enjoying mentality, which is opposite of service attitude, we become lusty. So to rectify both these situations, we need to cultivate service attitude, loving service attitude towards Lord, and then only we can, by Lord's grace, by connection with by Lord's mercy, we can become free from lust. The material creation is created by the Lord to give facility to the conditioned souls to fulfill these lustful propensities. And when completely baffled by prolonged lustful activities, the living entity began to inquire about their real position. So we may agree and we may disagree with Krishna's plan कि ऐसे कैसे कर दिया उन्होंने. He says he's created this world, he's given this facility, uh, so where we can come and fulfill our lusty desires. And that's why he ended up creating this material world. If you want to enjoy her, if you don't want to serve me, you want to enjoy on your own, you cannot stay in the spiritual world and do that. You need to go to the material world. Hence, you are sent to the material world so that uh, you can fulfill. I'm giving you facility to fulfill your lusty desires. Enjoy it as much as you can, and when you will get completely frustrated, you will realize that there is no real enjoyment here. I'm being cheated by there appears to be enjoyment, but there is practically no enjoyment. Just like in the desert, on hot afternoon, in the sun there appears to be water somewhere at a distance, but when you go there, the water further moves away. There is no water. So similarly, there appears to be uh, the moment of enjoyments in this material world, but everyone is struggling to get those, or struggling to hold on to those for more time. So this, and what is expected, you will sometime, one day will come when you will say enough is enough. Now I want something real. I want to understand who am I want to understand why am I suffering here, why am I being thrown into the womb of one mother after another mother, and why am I suffering perpetually in this material world. What is the way out? How can I exit? What is the way out of to finish this cycle of repeated birth and death? I can't take this anymore. When get baffled of their problematic situation, then they will inquire. Therefore, the origin of lust is also in the Supreme. If therefore lust is transformed into love for Supreme, or transformed into Krishna consciousness, or in other word, desiring everything for Krishna, then both lust and wrath can be spiritualized. And Prabhupada gave example of Hanuman, who burned Lanka for the service or the pleasure of Lord. Became the greatest devotee of Lord by using his anger in the service of Lord. Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is also being engaged to fight a war by Krishna. And so when he's fighting the war, he's using his mode of passion, but for the pleasure, for the service of Krishna. So implied the lust and therefore lust and anger, when they are employed in Krishna consciousness, become our friend instead of our enemies. Self-destructive, impure desires in our in so self-destructive impure desires are are our biggest enemies. Uh, so Krishna was speaking to Arjuna on the battlefield, and he says this biggest enemies are not Duryodhan, Dushasan, or even Bhishma and Drona, or Shakuni, or anybody on the opposition side. Your biggest enemies are within yourself. The self-destructive impure desires which will pop up from time to time, which will force you to identify yourself with the body, and which will prevent you from acting in the nir ashir and nirmamo mood, that you will work without profit and without proprietorship. uh, it will prevent you from doing those things. It says those tendencies are your biggest enemies, so fight this inner battle now. Conquer these demons, conquer these inner enemies first. Then you will be able to conquer the outer world also. So if we have healthy fear, so we should have a recognition that we can all have these demons inside us. These enemies could be present inside my mind, your mind, and everybody else's mind who is hearing this. Once we get to this recognition that I can also be a problem, or I can also have a problem, one will be watchful. Just like disease, nobody can say we will never fall sick, no matter how much healthy routine that they are following today. So um, so so one is always, if one is always watchful, cautious, little fearful of falling sick, one will always be on the lookout for the problem that they will notice in their health. Will perform regular tests, will follow a proper routine, to make sure that they don't fall sick. And any symptoms which suggest any sign of sickness, they will have those investigated. So there's a healthy fear in people to look out if they have any problem. That fear is necessary so that they can find the problem at the earliest. This fear will force people to be on the lookout. They will not just sleep, they'll not be careless, they will be careful. They'll be careful in seeing symptoms which could suggest the existence of some problem. So this fear, if you have healthy fear, you will be on a lookout for a problem to find it. Now this find it, we find these demons. Fearing and finding is not enough, unless, because now we should fight these demons. So fearing about demons will help us be on the lookout for those demons, and if we are searching for them, we will find them if we are intelligent enough. And finding is not enough now, because we are forced to fight with them. We must fight with them, conquer them before they can be finished. So, fearing, finding, fighting, and finishing them will help us stay focused in the process of Krishna consciousness. This battle is not easy. This battle to fight with our inner demon, we need help from Krishna. We need to we need to seek that help from Krishna, just like a small child seek help from her mother, his or her mother. The child knows nobody else. Child is infant, maybe 1 year old, maybe 6 month old. Now only thing that child know is to cry for help from, and he knows, she knows that whenever he will or she will cry, his or her mother will come and pick her up, and she will do whatever is needed for comforting a child. So child is completely dependent on mother. Similarly, we need to become dependent on Krishna. We need to depend on Krishna for help. We need to ask Krishna for help. And when we will do that, Krishna will help. Krishna come through, will come to us for help. And then with his grace, we will be able to win over these demons. धूमेना धूमेना व्रियते वाहिन यथा दर्शो मलेन च तथो यथो यथो यथोल्बेनो यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस्तथा तथा तेने तथा तेने दमावृतम तथा तेने तथा तेने दम आवृतम. So here Krishna is giving metaphoric three metaphors basically to explain this lust or the covering by the lust. One is the fire, just like as a fire is covered by smoke, a mirror covered by dust, and embryo covered by womb. The living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. Now, this lust is not just is cover is has ability to cover the soul, the existence of the presence of the soul. So when the lust, when the soul gets covered by the lust, it fails to act independently, it loses its spark. And hence we need to understand what these three examples that Krishna has given. Now our acharyas explain us that these three things, the fire and smoke example, the mirror and dust example, and the embryo and shishu example, explains life at different stages. The fire and smoke is, fire is visible, smoke is also there, but smoke cannot completely cover fire. If there is a lot of smoke, we understand that there is a fire beneath it, and by carefully dealing with the smoke, we can ignite the fire in such a way that the smoke goes away. If the fire start blazing, the smoke will go away. And if I need expert devotee guidance, guidance from the expert, those who have done it in past, to help me do that. Now this exhibits the stage of human birth, where we are closest to Krishna. We are closest to Krishna by little effort, from the living entity, and in the surrendered mood that he will take under the guidance of his spiritual master or devotee guiding mentor. He can revive the fire of Krishna consciousness, the love of Krishna, the service attitude towards Krishna. He can easily, very easily, this fire of love and service attitude to Krishna can be ignited with the help from other devotees. And hence, this is compared to the fire and smoke. the the mirror, if the mirror is covered by dust, a lot of dust, it we fail to even see our impression in it. And that is the situation of birds and beasts and pashus, the animals. Now they are in a difficult situation. um, they will not be able to, the only thing that they live for is basically sense enjoyment. uh, so the lust is compared to smoke, and it is understood the fire for smoke or the fire. The dust of the mirror refers to the cleansing of process of mirror of mind by so many spiritual method. The breast process is to chant the holy name of the Lord. The embryo covered by the lift is an analogy illustrating a helpless position, for a child in the womb is so helpless that it cannot even move. This stage of living entity can be compared to that of trees. The trees are also living entities, but they are they have been put in such a condition of life, uh, where there's such a great exhibition of lust that they are almost void of all consciousness. The covered mirror is compared to the birds and the beast. A smoke covered is by fire is compared to the human being. In the form of human being, the living entity may revive a little Krishna consciousness, and if makes further development, the fire of spiritual life can be kindled in the human form of life. By careful handling of the smoke in the fire can be made to blaze. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy of lust by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance from devotees and mentors. Krishna further says that Avrutam jnanametena jnanino nitya vairina kamarupena konteya dushpurena ana dushpurena nalena cha. Thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by the, by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. Avrutam jnanametena jnanino nitya vairina. When Jnani no Nitya Vairana, it is said, Prabhupada write in the purport that it is said in the Manusmriti that lust cannot be satisfied by any amount of sense enjoyment. Just as fire is never satisfied or never extinguished by constant supply of fuel. In the material world, the center of all activities is sex, and thus this material world is called Maithuna Agara, or the shackles of sex life. In the ordinary prison house, criminals are kept within bars. Similarly, the criminals who are disobedient to the laws of the Lord are shackled by sex life. Advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing the duration of material existence of a living entity. I'll read this again. Advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification. What is a measure of our advancement today? If you can perform eating, mating, sleeping, defending in a sophisticated way, you are considered advanced civilization. What do advanced civilized people do in today's world? We may consider advanced countries as USA, UK, Australia, Singapore. What do people do there? They are eating, mating, sleeping, and defending in advanced way. The European countries where the eating, sleeping, mating, defending in done in much sophisticated way than it is done in developing countries. So the whole measurement, the whole criteria to consider anybody as modern or civilized is basis how they do eating, mating, sleeping, defending. The quality and quantity of this is the only criteria, unfortunately, today for used to understand if anything is a materially advanced civilization or a backward civilization. So Prabhupada write that therefore it is this this lust is the symbol of ignorance, which by which the living entity is kept within the material world. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness, but actually that so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer. And the verses 7.19, where Krishna says that bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. That after millions and millions of birth, a knowledgeable person, one who is trying to cultivate knowledge by studying various scriptures, jnanavan mam prapadyate, such people will also surrender to me. Vasudevam sarvamiti sa mahatma. Why? Because they will reach to the conclusion that Vasudeva sarvamiti, Krishna is everything. Now, devotees accept this sentence on day one. A jnani may accept the same sentence after millions of birth of studying scriptures. He will come to the same conclusion. So it's always better to come to accept this conclusion through Guru Sadhu Shastra rather than doing our own experiment and wasting millions and millions of lifetimes. So that is not something that is advisable. Vasudevam Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Krishna is Calling such person is also Mahatma because he finally come to the same conclusion. So, but not everybody will be able to do that. So one should accept this same instruction from Guru Sadhu Shastra and practice Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, devotional service, and attain Krishna in one lifetime. 10.8 also highlights the same point that aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. 15.19 again we discussed earlier that yomam evam sammudho janati purushottamam. Once you know that I am that uttama purusha from whom the whole creation has come into existence, then sarva vida bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata, then you will start worshipping me with all your heart, O Bharata. So the we don't we don't want to increase our duration of material existence for the living entity. We don't want to do that. This is the risk. This is the problem area. The so-called civilized people are increasing their duration of the material existence because they are going away from Krishna by each action taken by them. So that is the danger, which means our we will continue to exist practically perpetually in the material world, which is great danger because the whole purpose of this human form of life is to finish our business in one lifetime and go back to Krishna by cultivating love and service attitude towards Krishna. These two things, if we can convert ichha dvesha samuthena, so love, our lust should become love for Krishna, and our desire for enjoyment should become desire to serve Krishna. If we can just manage to do these two mental adjustments, uh, we can go back to Krishna in one lifetime. From the article of His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji, Prabhuji writes that in the Bhagavad Gita 3.39 state that the lust is the Nitya Vairini, the eternal enemy of the soul. When lust control our mind, it maliciously distort our vision. Consequently, we see the activity that is extraordinarily ordinary to be extraordinarily special, even irresistible. To protect ourselves from this pathetic perversion of our vision, we need to keep lust out of our mind by fixing our consciousness on Krishna. To the extent we keep lust out of our mind by cultivating Krishna consciousness, to that extent the ordinariness of sex will become obvious to us. Over time, as we become seasoned in the art of remembering Krishna, we will no longer be fascinated and tormented by sex. Instead, we will become increasingly fascinated and enlivened by the truly extraordinary glory of Krishna. Very beautiful article. You all can read. You should all read all the slides so that all of you can recollect all these thing instructions. Another beautiful verse. Now the enemy is there inside us, and it's important to find out the location of this enemy. So the senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders them. Let's go through. The enemy has captured, Prabhupada writes in the purport, a very military kind of a analytical purport Prabhupada has given. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul. And therefore, Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all the activities of the senses, and thus we hear about sense objects, and the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification, and as a result the mind and the senses becomes the repositories of lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with the matter, and thus with the mind and the senses. So what is basically happening is, we see, take the same example of lusty desire for watching pornography. And now the mind, if it is under the influence of the intelligence, is knowledge, intelligence is strengthened by knowledge, and such strong intelligence is trying to control the mind. When such a proposition will come from the mind, the intelligence will shoot it down. It will not entertain. When such desire comes from the senses, so the sitting places are senses also. So this proposition may come from the senses, and the mind, if it's not strong enough, um, because of the conditioning given by the intelligence, uh, will, if mind is not alert and strong enough to deal, say no to those propositions which are coming from the senses, uh, then what mind will do, mind will start painting fantasies of enjoyment with the sense object that is proposed by the sensor, the senses. Mind will start painting pictures of enjoyment, imaginary pictures of enjoyment with that sense object that is proposed by the senses. So mind, instead of rejecting the sensual propositions, is now indulge in creating wonderful imaginary enjoy scenarios of potential enjoyment that one may get by engaging indulging into those activities. Now this kind of a mind is a dangerous, because it's not doing, one, it's not doing its own duty, and it is creating alluring situation for intelligence also. So intelligence, when that intelligence is not in the control of the soul, intelligence is not strengthened by the hearing of the message of the shastra, and strong is strengthened by the performance of sadhana, then such intelligence is can easily be swept away by the mind. So whenever a proposition come from the eyes that they want to see obscene videos, the mind will create imaginary situation where we are seen enjoying those videos a lot, and that makes that desire, it gives adds fuel to the fire. And because the desire to watch video or obscene images becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. When that happens, now the intelligence, if it's not strong enough to stop all these activities, will start cooperating with the mind. Instead of controlling the mind, now will start cooperating with the mind. It will now start making plans of indulging in that activity in such a way that nobody else will find out. No tracks will be left open. All tracks will be covered. Everything, all my trail will be covered. Nobody will be able to find out. So the intelligence, you and to do that requires a lot of intelligence. So my intelligence will become busy in covering my tracks, so that my mind can indulge into that action, and the physical sense can actually indulge into that action. Mind can provide imaginary environment, and the sense object can actually interact. So so everything has become perverted. Everybody is doing opposite of what they are supposed to do. Intelligence is supposed to stop stop mind from cultivating those imaginary situations of enjoyment. Mind is supposed to stop senses from proposing the sense object, and the sense objects senses should also not be irregularly, not be you know not be used to perceive sense object without restrictions, not be allowed to do whatever they want. If that happens, then all these problems will come into play. And Krishna concludes this chapter by speaking these three verses, which we'll see in a brief, and then we will go to the question answer. Krishna says in the 41st verse, therefore, O Arjuna, best of Bharata, in every in very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. 42, Krishna says the working senses are superior to the dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul is even higher than the intelligence. Thus, knowing oneself to be the transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence. O mighty arm Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, in bracket Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. Prabhupada write in the purport, very beautiful purport to the 41st verse, which we'll use as a so, and then we'll go to the last slide of summary. Lust is only perverted reflection of the love of God, which is natural for every living entity. But if one is educated in Krishna consciousness from the very beginning, that natural love of God cannot deteriorate into lust. So one should be educated in Krishna science of Krishna consciousness from the very beginning. Then only one is able to know that love of God should not become lust, should not be converted in, deteriorated into the lust. When love of God deteriorates into lust, it is very difficult to return to the normal condition. But it's not a hopeless condition. It is difficult but not hopeless. Prabhupada write further that nevertheless, Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following the regulative principles of devotional service. So, such an important statement. uh, Even you are a late beginner, and all of us, we can consider ourselves to be the late starters. We didn't took up to the process of Krishna consciousness. So we didn't started reading Bhagavad Gita from the age of 5. There are many fortunate children who are doing it, but we probably are not one of those. So we we are late beginners, but even we can become lover of God by following the regulative principles of devotional service. So simply by following four regulative principles, simply by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, simply by reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, simply by engaging ourselves in some seva, practical, loving, devotional service, by doing that, we can become lovers of God, lover of Krishna, and so that is necessary. If we are going to invest a lot of our mind and intelligence into loving of stock market, loving the game of cricket, loving the Bollywood, loving my political leader, and so on and so forth, or loving my own business, my own profession, loving my family, my dog, my parents, whatever, my country, whatever we might be busy living today, um, but we are not ready to love God, love and serve God, then that is very unfortunate. So the Krishna, if we get engaged in Krishna consciousness, we will learn the art of loving Krishna. We become lovers of God by following the regulative principles of devotional service. So, from any stage of life or from the time of understanding its urgency, one can begin regulating the senses in Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord, the highest, and turn this lust into love of Godhead, the highest perfectional stage of human life. In one of the purport of verse 43, Prabhupada write this beautiful sentence, which is a summary of our discussion today. In the material existence of life, One is certainly influenced by the propensities for lust and desire for dominating the resources of material nature, desire for overlording and for sense gratification. Desires for overloading and for sense gratification are the greatest enemy of the conditioned soul. But by the strength of Krishna consciousness, one can control the material senses, the mind, and the intelligence. One may not give up a work and prescribe duties at all. One may not give up a work and prescribed duties all of a sudden, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in transcendental position without being influenced by the material senses and the mind. By steady intelligence directed towards one's pure identity. This is the sum of total, sum total of this chapter. This is the sum total of this chapter. So we'll break for some question and answer before we conclude today's session. So we'll summarize in a brief. We started discussing from verse 3.30, which explains how we should be, how we are supposed to work, and how we should offer the fruits of our work to Krishna without any uh, without any desire for profit or for proprietorship. And Krishna is asking Arjuna to follow his instructions with faith and without envy. And then all his karmic bondage will be destroyed. All his past karmic reactions will be destroyed. Uh, he also says, in contrast, if you don't do that, then all your endeavors for perfection will be destroyed. You will completely, you will stay in the material world forever, practically. So, and then Arjuna asked this question that if this is your advice that everybody should work in a selfless way, then why people become selfish? Why people get attached? Why people act in sinful way that they are not supposed to do? And Krishna says that because they are they are always, everybody has mode of passion in them, and from that mode of passion, uh, the anger arises. So they everybody takes that mode of passion, takes them downwards, degrade to the level of mode of ignorance or tamoguna. Instead of that, they should rise to the sattva guna, and by acting in Krishna consciousness. So don't allow these sensual desires to take you down. And then we spoke about inner demons that force us to act in the way that we don't want. At times, we get even surprised ourselves that how I could have acted in that manner. And we looked at who those inner demons are. And there's six inner demons, Shadripus, as they are referred to in the Vedas. That is lust, anger, greed. Then envy, pride, and illusion. So these are six demons that are exist that we have to deal with. All of us will have this demons present inside us with different degrees, but all of us will need to deal with these demons and overcome this battle, fight with these battles and overcome the battle. So from Rajoguna, we should go to Sattva and from Sattva we should go to Shuddha Sattva. Rajoguna, we should not get degraded to Tamoguna. And if that happens, then we become self destructive. No more harm people cause to themselves than they being harmed by other people. And that's evident from the, we are not even talking about suicides that happen, but even before that, a lot of people think about suicide in their deepest, lowest points in their life. And a lot of people experience those low points in multiple times in span of day and weeks, not even months and years. Every day people experience those low points, and that's how the whole mental health has become a big problem for the entire world. We were a spiritual capital. We were immune to all of these things. We were not affected by mental health issues for long, because our society was functioning on the basis of the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita. But when we gave up our own scriptures and we started blindly following the Western world, we also got affected by the problems that were faced by that Western world, which is the mental health issues. And hence, the in a simple way, the our propensity to love Krishna has become lust because of our envy, our lack of faith, and we want to now enjoy, we want to now control, and our ability, our desire to serve Krishna has become desire to enjoy. So if we want to convert them back to our desire to serve and desire to love Krishna, we need to regulate our sensual activities. And we need to do that, we need to act under somebody's guidance, some able devotees when they guide us. So out we should go out and seek guidance. Nobody should think I don't need it. If we all need it, and hence if we are not being guided by anybody, we are in trouble. We can be doing wrong things without anybody's notice, and all our endeavors can be wasted. So we don't know how much time we have in this world. So we don't want to remain busy in doing things which are not going to give us results. So we might as well engage ourselves only in fruitful activities, and hence it is best to perform devotional service under guidance of a devotee. And that way we will be able to benefit from parampara learnings. And Prabhupada has written these beautiful purports, which we have kept in the predominantly in the slides, which I will request all of you to go through once I will distribute the slides to everyone. And then it's possible for us to that way convert ourselves, not get affected by the lust, but overcome lust by practicing Krishna consciousness. And that way we will be able to be victorious. We will be able to end the cycle of repeated birth by going back to Krishna. So we'll conclude here, and we will see if there are any questions um, anybody might have. Yes, Sanjay Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for such a wonderful session. My question is, Prabhuji, it's a very beautiful session, and we understand the importance of being in Krishna consciousness and devotional service to counter these effects. But the thing is, the today we live in a world of instant sense gratification, and Krishna consciousness and devotional service is a process which takes time to take effect. I mean, it's as they say, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. But the senses are so strong that I mean, as the scriptures say, they have, even great sages and demigods have succumbed to it. So, I mean, it sounds so challenging, and the urge to satisfy the senses in a world which is of instant gratification, at the click of a button, you get everything, as compared to the fact that Krishna consciousness and devotional service takes time to so to say please you or derive pleasure from it. It's a transition from sadhana bhakti to prem bhakti. It's a long transition, it's a long process. So how do we really counter this with this such a challenging situation? Now that's my question, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful question. So, so the question is, when there is so much quick enjoyment available, and why should we then invest, or how should we motivate ourselves to invest in Krishna consciousness, which may not give us such instant enjoyment? Um, Now that is now the way we can look at it is the click of a button. Now, so the so-called enjoyments that we get, all of those actually eventually leads to frustration. No, no, whatever the enjoyments we may consider ourselves to be getting by engaging our senses with the sense object, be it eating, be it sexual pleasure, be it any other pleasure that we get from watching something on the phone or on the laptop. Now, all of those at an intellectual level, it's not very difficult to understand how they end up giving us misery. So, so Krishna says in the fifth chapter that they have beginning and they have end. You know, Adya Anta Vanta Kanteya Na Taishu Ramate Buddha. So even if we have so and for and it's not that we have not been able to regulate these activities at all. It's not that they are completely irresistible. So whenever we would have appeared for our competitive exams or important exams, important interviews, important projects, while doing those, we would have been easily able to resist some of these tempting situations. I remember when I was preparing for CA finals, the Sharjah matches were going on. And I believe Sachin Tendulkar or somebody else, they were playing very great cricket, and we were defeating. We won that cup, and it was the hysteria in the whole country was crazy about those victories because we, I think, defeated Australia consecutive matches. So the whole there is so much. Everyone was talking about it. If you have been following cricket, then you also want to go and see it and all of that. But those who are preparing for that particular exam, maybe they were not watching those matches or they were not really indulging into those matches. They by so even though we were not in Krishna consciousness then, we could understand that this is important for me. But I can go back and watch highlights later. But these exams, if I do badly in them, I have to reappear by in another 6 months' time. So I will rather avoid doing those things now and postpone it, but rather concentrate myself on the study. So even without Krishna consciousness, also we were able to do this. This discrimination always existed, and it was practiced also. It was not that difficult to say no to those temptations. Even today's times, we see students, those who are excelling, they are able to keep away those tempting situations, and thereby they're still able to focus on the studies. They also are living in the same world, or of the same age, and they are able to fight their temptations. And in fact, those who are able to fight temptations only are able to succeed even in the material world. So it's not that it is impossible and there's nobody doing it. With knowledge that we get from scriptures, we get additional impetus to do it. We would have otherwise also done it for our material success, be it examination, job, completion of a project, or for movie stars. They perform a lot of austerities because they want to look good, they want to look fit, and they want to, maintain their bodies in such a way that is suitable for the portrayal of a character on the screen, whatever could be their motive. So our motives could be different, but everyone is seen performing the regulation, applying that regulation from time to time. And by learning from scriptures, we get additional reasons to do that, a proper reasons to do that. These are all material reasons. Sometimes, the Krishna says in the 61st verse of second chapter that you make me the object of your control senses. So there is a sense control everyone is trying to, a lot of people must be trying to apply in their life for various different purposes. But Krishna says you make me the destination of your sense control, and then that way you will be able to control those senses for with proper commitment. Otherwise, the moment your objective is met, you again go back to your old ways. So somebody may be preparing for, say, Miss India contest, and they must be following a great routine of exercise, diet, and makeup, and this drill, that drill, learning to give all answers and all that. And the moment that contest is over, if they come fourth and fifth and sixth, then obviously they are not amongst the top three winners. They have no other business. So you go back to then your old way of doing things. So the moment this motivation is over, we so our regulation does not last for long time. But when we do the same regulation on the basis of instructions from Bhagavad Gita, by the by the learning of the scriptures, our intelligence becomes sharper, and then it gives us better reason and more conviction to follow the regulation. So the whole answer is that even today people are following regulations, but they're doing it for their own respective purposes. And whenever those purposes are met, they go back to old ways of doing things. So there is scriptures give us additional proper reasons for following those regulations. It help us understand the falsity in those enjoyments, how false, how superficial those enjoyments are, how small those enjoyments are, and how bigger enjoyments can be made accessible if we follow a particular rules and regulations and follow a particular sadhana practice. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that not to it comes very quickly. Achirena is the word Krishna used in one of the verse, that not it doesn't take a lot of time for you to start experiencing the presence of Krishna in your life. The joy of Krishna consciousness through the process of chanting, hearing, singing, dancing, feasting, and even visiting temples, that is like very quickly accessible. Just like a click of a button, you can see how the Vrindavan deities are dressed today, and so on and so forth. So like that, Krishna is also trying to catch up with our propensity to have everything in 1 minute. So in 1 minute, you can visit 5 temples. You can go from Vrindavan to Mayapur to Landaneshwar to Radha Rasbihari and to Bhivandi. All tak tak tak, 5 clicks, 5 darshans, and which deity is looking gorgeous today in which color dress. So Krishna is also trying to catch up with our propensity for instant sense gratification. But as I said, we do it anyway. But if we do it with the knowledge of the scriptures, we do it with far more conviction, and we remain committed to our regulation also. And then Krishna promised that achirena, very quickly you will start experiencing happiness by practicing Krishna consciousness also. But we need that seriousness and sincerity in our endeavors. Krishna will reciprocate. That's what his promise is. And if you see, all of us, 100 people who join every day, every Sunday, they would have done something. They would have had some experiences of Krishna's hand in their life, because of which they are coming repeatedly, even after so many months. So we all get that experience. It's undeniable truth in our life that Krishna has acted in various ways and shown his presence. So it's not very difficult for us to figure out. We may overcome by from time to time by the may get overcome and overwhelmed by the situations of the material world, and sometimes we may feel little discouraged to practice Krishna consciousness. But that's the time when if we are in devotee circle, we can clarify our mind, clear our mind, and we can rejuvenate our process of Krishna consciousness. So all in all, it's not that difficult if we have faith, and if we remain in association of devotees, we should be able to overcome this obstacle also.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful explanation. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Uh, yes, Vikas Surji, you
Hare
have a
Krishna
question?
Prabhuji.
Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji. So, can I just ask a question similar to this Prabhuji, what he had asked? Because today we are in this family life, social life. with a lot of responsibility. You being a father, you being a brother, you being a husband. Ah, so all are you are surrounded and bound with a lot of responsibilities. And when you do your responsibility, discharge your duties, lot of distractions looks appears in that life, day-to-day life. So how do you see it? Whether it is unless the surrounded people and this entire environment is Krishna conscious, and everybody is looking in that angle. How do you look it to become
Yeah, not get
self-centered?
overwhelmed, not get
Yeah,
overwhelmed by the realities of the world. Yes. So
right,
that's
right,
fine,
right.
Praji. Yeah. So basically, Praji, what uh, we need to, just like mobile get drained, right, after use. When you make 5 calls, 10 calls, or use it for few hours, eventually it gets drained. It's got the power, but the battery is drained. And similarly, our consciousness also drains when we are associated with non-devotees, especially for long, long time. So what we need, simply what we need to do with mobile, the same thing we need to do with ourselves. We go and charge our mobile from time to time, correct? We charge batteries of mobile from time to time. Similarly, we need to charge our consciousness from time to time by giving it a dose of Krishna, by reading Bhagavad Gita, by hearing some lectures regularly, by chanting our japa round in isolation with devotees as much as possible. So this is way we charge our consciousness. Our consciousness is a combination of mind and intelligence. When our mind and intelligence are filled with Krishna, and we keep giving that dose of Krishna to our mind and intelligence from time to time with a regularity, then our mind will not get overwhelmed by the material situations. In fact, in every situation, it will remember Krishna. And in every difficult scenario, it will seek help from Krishna to find a solution. And Krishna will provide a solution. So by that's where the daily sadhana and association of devotees comes very, very important, because it does two things. Associate When you associate with devotees, you get to understand that you are not alone in this battle. You're not alone fighting this battle. There are so many people who are also going through similar uh, situations, and they are finding ways and means to deal with this situation, overcome this situation. And by their guidance, by by their help, by help from my senior devotees, I should be able to also overcome the current situation, whatever it might be. And daily sadhana is where we get connection with Krishna. And we understand our dependence on Krishna. We understand our position in relationship with Krishna by daily sadhana, by hearing and chanting. When we hear from Bhagavad Gita, when we read Bhagavad Gita, we every time we are reminded that mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Krishna says, from me comes smriti jnanam apohanam cha. So remembrance, for knowledge and forgetfulness. I am the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. So these, by repeating, remembering these shlokas, these verses, and their meaning in tattva from time to time, daily taking dose of Krishna consciousness, by the reading of Bhagavad Gita, by reading of Srila Prabhupada purports, we are reminded of our position, original position, of how much are we dependent on Krishna. Then our ego, our desire to do things on our own goes away. We realize we can only do as much as we are allowed to be done by Krishna. So we are completely dependent on Krishna. And our dependence of Krishna, knowledge of our dependence of Krishna, remembrance of our dependence of Krishna is our real independence. Because then, while doing acting in the material world, we will always remember that our success and our failure both are coming with the sanction of Krishna. So we will not get attached to the doing of those activities. We'll still perform our activities, but we will not get attached. And that is the key um, way, that the key method of functioning in this world. That while you do your activities with all your heart, all your emotions, but don't get attached to it. And that is the great art of doing work that we learn. If our sadhana is strong, it's easy to perceive this and experience this in our real world as well. So, uh, so to coming back to your question, by constantly staying in by staying on constant association of devotees, seeking their guidance, and by performing daily sadhana, we will not get we will be able to experience that we don't get. And we have seen this from the experience of so many devotees. It's not that I'm speaking out of my own mind, but we have seen so many devotees going through so many ups and downs in life, and they are able to navigate it because of these two things. They are constantly talking to the devotees, and they are performing. They are not becoming lazy in performing their daily sadhana. They are very attentive in their daily sadhana of japa and reading from scriptures. So these two things, if we can do, will it will help us. It will help us, float through the difficult situations in our life very easily.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Raji. Vikas, would you have a question? And Jyoti Chauhan Mataji, if you have a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for this wonderful association and wonderful session of yours, Prabhuji. Because means in this, actually, you covered so many wonderful verses, and in this, when 342, I was hearing from you this, and then I was always actually reading this as this is some kind of hierarchy Lord Krishna is giving. And when you started explaining from that Arjuna asked this wonderful question, and that Kamesha Krodesha is the answer of Lord. So then I came, means to me, it came the understanding that ultimately whatever I am doing here is that as the hierarchy Lord Krishna explains that Indriyani Prana, this is for the satisfaction of my own senses, and which are very, very lower in the hierarchy. And I am just like wasting the time in satisfying those senses, which have got ultimately no use, because this body is ultimately going to go. And this gave me, I don't know whether this understanding is good or how much correct that understanding is, but that gave that ultimately I need to focus more and more on nourishing myself as soul, because that is the supreme hierarchy, and that is my eternal constitutional position. So while chanting the holy name of Krishna and doing whatever devotional service, if I can remain aware about that these senses which are bewildering me are not ultimately means to whom I'm trying to satisfy through the modes of material nature, they are not going to give me any kind of benefit, or those are not useful for me for the longer run. If I can remain aware about that, then in performing my devotional service, there will be more and more depth in like furthering towards the lotus feet of Krishna. So I was looking it in that way, which I never looked at, and that is what when you was mentioning that association of devotees gives us so many newer and newer things, or newer and newer understanding of the shastras, so which takes us forward to towards the more and more consciousness and devotional service of the Lord. So I don't know whether that is correct or not, but that came to me as an understanding of that verse, means in inclusion, but also this word which was I was always reading in the seclusion, but this came that this is actually very, very inclusive in the series of the instruction that Lord Krishna is providing. Hare
So,
Krishna, Guruji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So, in one sense, you're right in that the one who is the lowest in the hierarchy cannot get to decide what is the strategy of the company. In If you think of it from the material point of view, also, most of those though who are in the lower category of workers, they don't get to decide where the company should go. They are just doers thing. They're just used as executors, more of, and very little decision making is with them. The decision making happens at the top. And if you think from this hierarchy point of view, the decision making is by the soul, should be taken by the soul, that I want to cultivate Krishna consciousness. I want to go back. I want to end this material existence. I want to finish off my past karmas, become free from the bondage of my past karma, and I don't want to incur new karma. And I want to cultivate loving service attitude for Krishna. I want to go back to Krishna. Now, this is the strategical statement that has to come from top. If you allow the people at the lower level to determine what is good for them, what is good for the company, then they are going to create a havoc in the company. Because they will say smoking bidi is a great. So you give me 2 hours bidi smoking break every day. And they will insist for that. Then that becomes strategy of the company. And obviously such companies can't run for a long time. So uh, for them, smoking bidi workers, bidi smoking is gives them highest pleasure. But it so they may extend 1 hour lunch and extend it by 2 hour, make it 2 hour lunch, 1 hour for eating and 1 hour for smoking bidi. Now such companies can't last long. So you cannot have those people. So senses cannot drive. Senses should just follow the instructions. And when that happens, when the senses are under the control of mind, who is given getting directions from the intelligence, and that intelligence is sharpened by the knowledge acquired by the soul. When soul's knowledge gets covered by lusty desires, emotions, then everything else goes haywire. And then the senses start determining what to do and what not to do, and mind and intelligence start arranging uh, those how those senses can be made happy. So you don't have to worry about too much worry about the happiness of those senses. Similarly, you want to give your workers decent working conditions, but you don't want them to determine the strategy of the company. You want to tell them the strategy of the company. So at some stage, you can, if you look at it that way also, I think we can consider this hierarchy is helpful in understanding it, the inclusive nature of the verse that is explained by Lord.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam, Guruji.
Thank you so much. Jyoti Chauhan Mataji, if you're there, you can ask a question. In the meantime, Sachi, yes, I think you can go ahead and ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, like I have a question. By taking these sessions and reading Bhagavad Gita, we know that there are so many things which affect the result of the work which we are doing. But people around us, like in our workplace or everywhere, they simply want a result. Like, I know I'm giving best to my work and everything, but I'm not getting the result which I'm supposed to get there. Like, even if I understand that I'm not the only doer, I can't make them understand. And sometimes, like, I get so frustrated and I'm in tension, like, I have to get the result or else they'll come ask and shout. Like, how to get out of that thought in my daily life, because sometimes this thought becomes so powerful that even if I'm working, I'm into the in that anxiety of getting the result while doing the work only. Like, I know I can just do my part, but still that thought is always there to get the result. So how to deal with this? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. You can hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
So, yeah, thank you so much, Sachi, for such a wonderful question. And so basically, how do we practically implement the teaching of 2.47, that is Karmani Vadikaraste verse? Now, the whole point is we have to, if we if we if we think about outcome at the time of performing action, we'll not be able to perform action only properly. That our ability to perform action gets substantially impacted if we start wondering about the result. So one of the IPL team uh, engaged the team in meditation, and they found that mantra meditation, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is one of is a way by which they say that I can teach my team to be present in present. We have to chant mantra and simultaneously hear the pronunciation of mantra as we chant. By practicing this, my team members can learn to remain present in present. What it means is they understand that if their team has to perform to the best of their ability, while they are on the ground, while they are doing playing cricket, while doing bowling, batting, fielding, they can't be thinking of what happened in past, and they can't be wondering of what will happen in future. They just need to take one moment at a time, play one ball at a time, be present in present, not wonder in past, not go in future. Now, for this, they actually ask some of those team members to practice this mantra meditation, and they felt that that has given them good result. The longer, if you are able to hear the chanting, implies the reality that you are present in present for a long time. So this is a simple way in which we can train our mind to be present in present. How it helps us in workplace? uh, when we are doing activities now, our our job at workplace, we can have multiple limitations, and we can be constrained for resources, constrained for time, constrained for skills, constrained for abilities. Our team may not have all the skills, so there could be various reasons why which can affect our performance. And because of so it's not just a combination of trans of sanction of Krishna that is also there, but at the material level itself, there could be so many things that may affect our performance, the way we perform. So our while acting in the material world, our job is to make sure that we do our best in the given time, place, and circumstance. We give our best effort given the time, place, and circumstance, and we are able to demonstrate that to our superior. That given the time, place, and circumstance, this is the best that I did. This is the I could have done, and I have done that. As an outcome, uh, see this even if this if we are able to do this and demonstrate this repeatedly, then then even the superiors will understand that what nothing better could have been done by the person. Now, if for example, if I'm not a great cook, I'm not good in cooking, and but as a seva, as a in a service mood, I declare that I will tomorrow cook a feast of for 100 people. Now, one, I'm not good in cooking. So I can at the most cook for myself or a couple of people. I can experiment. So I should not have been given that seva in the first place. And I should not have accepted the seva of cooking feast for 100 people, because that's not what my core expertise lies. That's not where my core expertise lies. So one, I have to identify my core skills with what work I'm doing. If there is a gap in that, there is a misalignment in that, then no matter how hard I will try, um, I will not be able to cook properly for 100 people. It will result into a fiasco. It can create a chaos. So that's my first level. I need to seek that alignment. If I'm doing what I'm doing is in line with what skills, abilities, and talent with I possess. And all of us have unique qualities. Nobody is copy of each other. So so as long as what we are doing is aligned to our own skill set, we have a very good chance of doing justice to the project or the job that we are given. And then we have to do our best in the given time, place, and circumstance. And if you can demonstrate these two things, then there's nothing more that you could have done anyway. So there should ideally not be any further frustration, anything to frustrate you more. If the results still don't meet the expectation, um, there's nothing more you could have done anyway. So whatever correction that you may get for improving your performance, those can be accepted. But beyond that, nothing can be done much in any way. So, but we need to understand where the boundaries of our effort and our dependence on Krishna. Uh, if we if we but if we don't try wholeheartedly and then try to depend on Krishna, that is improper. So we have to do our best in the given time, place, and circumstance. And once if we have done that, then there's nothing more that we can do anyway. So if the results are still not satisfactory, that will make your boss unhappy, but it cannot disturb your mental equilibrium, because you know that that's the best that you could have done anyway, anyhow. So it should not affect you mentally. Even though your boss may still be unhappy, you can't do much about it. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji, understood. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Prakash Sharma Prabhuji, if you have a question. Okay.
Hello.
Yes,
हाँ
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji, you can.
Yeah,
I can.
Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. Here actually I need to ask you this Srimad Bhagavad Gita is written by sage Vyas Muni, right? And the speaker is our Lord Krishna, our God Lord Krishna is the speaker, right?
Yes, it was when Vyasji wrote Mahabharat. As
Yeah,
part of that, Bhagavad Gita also comes as part of that book.
yeah. And now relating to that, my question is now coming to Srimad Bhagavatam. So is it written also by sage Vyas Muni?
Yes, yes. It is also written by Sage
Yeah.
Vyas. Yes.
And I've come across to some sloks there relating to sage Sut Goswami and Shukdev Swamis.
Mm.
So, Prabhuji, can you please highlight, because I'm not getting a clear picture about Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, who is the writer, and it was written by who, and who was the speaker? Like,
Correct, correct. So Bhagavatam is is a conversation. All the two principal scriptures
okay,
are is Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and both are conversations. Okay,
okay,
so Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, and there are four speakers: Dhritarashtra, Sanjay, Duryodhan, Arjun, and Krishna. That they are the speakers in Bhagavad Gita. Various speakers, they appear in different times, and through conversation, through question answer, uh, the philosophy emerges. So wherever the Arjuna is asking this question today, we heard that of that why people are compelled to do sinful activities much against their desire, also at times, as if someone is forcing them to act in sinful way. Now these kind of questions takes the discussion deeper. If I just speak, you just hear, and if you don't have ability to ask clarifications, then that that becomes a one-way monologue. It's not a dialogue, and that does not reveal um, the subject's depth, otherwise which could have happened. So this conversation of Bhagavad Gita, which is where so many speakers are there, comes in Mahabharata. And when Vyasdev wrote, Vyasdev is also considered to be the literary incarnation, Sahityic avatar of Lord, literary incarnation of Lord Krishna. So he wrote all the scriptures, documented all these evidences for itihasas, as itihasas Mahabharat was written, and as part of Mahabharat, Bhishma Parva, this Bhagavad Gita conversation was come as part of Bhagavad Gita during the war description. Suta Goswami, the same Vyasdev. So Suta Goswami and
Sukadev.
the same in the Bhagavatam also, there are multiple speakers and multiple conversations are interlinked to each other. The one conversation leads to another, and so on and so forth. So at times there are 3 to 4 conversation layers of conversations that are happening. So it is again documented by Vyasdev. But Bhagavad Puran is not only that was spoken by Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev is the son of Vyasdev who wrote Bhagavatam, but it was always in existence. When Brahmaji, Narad Muni heard this Bhagavatam from 4 Kumaras originally, who are the sons of Brahma. So this Bhagavatam also existed perpetually eternally in the spiritual world. So Bhagavatam is a description of Lord's incarnations and activities. Lord and it gives vivid descriptions of Lord interactions between Lord and his devotees. Lord's different incarnation, different activities, his interaction with devotees, his glories of his devotees, and so on and so forth. So it's a longish conversation, and which at the beginning starts, there's a conversation which is happening between Suta Goswami and Shaunaka Rishi, who are at the beginning of at the Bhagavatam. The description comes in the first canto, and they are performing yajna for the benefit of the people in Kali Yuga. So this is the latest part of it. And they relay, Suta Goswami was present when Sukadev Goswami spoke Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So he asked him to relay what he heard from Sukadev Goswami. During the course of question answer between Sukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj got the curse that he will die, leave his body in 7 days. So he said, best way to utilize my 7 days is to hear Krishna Katha. So he goes to the bank of Ganga, accepts Sukadev Goswami, walks in there, he accepts him as Guru and hears Bhagavatam for 7 days. End of 7 day, the snake comes, he bites, so and he leaves for the heaven. He go back to Krishna. Parikshit Maharaj go back to back to Godhead. So this is one conversation. Second conversation that is being relayed by Suta Goswami, because he was present in the assembly where Bhagavatam was spoken by Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev Goswami learned Bhagavatam from Vyasdev, and also at various places, Sukadev Goswami give reference of a conversation between Vidura and Maitreya Muni, Vidura and Uddhava. Then at various other places, he referred to the conversations during conversation between Narad, between Vidura and Maitreya. There are references which takes them into the conversations between Narad and Yudhishthir. So there are layers of conversation. It's like layers of dreams. You have a dream in which you also get another dream in which you are also dreaming about something else. So there are layers of conversations involved in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Um, if you hear it attentively, I mean, Srila Prabhupada Bhagavatam is very, very easy to understand. But we have various narrations of Bhagavatam by Maharaj. Uh, Gaur Krishna Maharaj has spoken Bhagavatam for 7 days. And in a very simple, lucid way, Hindi, he explains Srimad Bhagavatam in a very, very easy to understand way. So we can understand all of this when we study Bhagavatam. But that is in nutshell what those conversations and the layers of conversations are all about.
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for solving my problem. Thank you. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Bol, Prakash Prabhuji. So we'll conclude today's session. Once you have a question, I cannot see.
Yes, Prabhuji. Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yeah, you're audible. Yes, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have a question in my mind. Like it is just a basic question, not really lit from the today's session, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, as we understand that from the Shastras or Bhagavad Gita, like Maya is the external energy or Bahiranga Shakti है भगवान की. So Prabhuji, it works completely under the guidance of the Bhagwan. So Prabhuji, so I wish that Prabhuji, if Maya comes from Bhagwan Prabhuji, so himself, so Prabhuji, then why does Maya appears to punish us, Prabhuji, or create some repetitive difficulties or obstacles in our material lives? So that is my question, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanwad Pranam.
Hare Krishna. So once you have seen multiple choice questions,
Yes, Prabhuji.
in all competitive exams, we sometimes have this multiple choice question, MCQ, जिसको बोलते हैं.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
Prabhuji.
so how is the pattern? What is the pattern for it? There's a question and there are 4 options given, correct?
Yeah,
A,
yeah,
B,
yes,
C, D. Yeah, A, B, C, whatever.
yeah,
Correct. Now everything comes from the teacher,
yes, Prabhuji.
but does everything takes you to the teacher? So can you say that since everything has come from the teacher, whatever you will take, you should still be given marks?
Hmm. Yes,
Possible?
yes.
नहीं होगा ना. So MCQ, for if there are 4 options, all 4 options have come from the teacher,
Hmm.
but not all 4 options are necessarily right options.
Yes,
In ABCD, generally one is right, correct? One of
yes,
them is right.
yes, yes.
So just by saying that everything is coming from teacher, if I it doesn't matter what I tick. I may tick A or B or C or D. Why should it matter? Because all 4 have come from teacher. So she should give me mark no matter whatever I tick. Will that work?
Yes, Prabhuji.
It will not work, correct? Because I need to know what is the correct answer out of that 4 options, and I only need to tick that correct answer. Then only I get marks. Clear?
Definitely, Prabhuji.
So, which means that even if everything is coming from Krishna, not everything is taking us back to Krishna. Correct? So we need to use our free will in proper way, uh, to in a discriminative way, to understand what is correct and what is not correct. So Maya is there. Maya Devi is there and she has a Deviya Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dhuratvaya. So she is Lord's energy. But Mam Evam Ye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. To fly over, it's to float over Maya is not possible unless we surrender to Krishna. So her job, she's been given a job. Uh, and jailer in the jail also is in the kingdom, correct? Hospital is also in the kingdom. Now, when you go there, you don't really enjoy your stay in jail. You're made to suffer in various ways. You're given so much inconvenience in the jail. But but it doesn't mean that government is asking you to go to jail just because it has constructed a jail and appointed a jailer. Government is not inviting you to go to jail. But when you, by your own actions, land up in yourself into the jail, you will suffer. So why is jail there? Jail is there because Lord want jail to be there. King want jail to be there. But you going there is happening by your own choice. And when you go there, you suffer. There's no secret in that. So the best thing is not to go there. And even if you go there, then become over, follow all the rules and regulations and get out of there. So if we have come, the real reason why we have come in the material world is because we don't have love for Krishna. We don't want to serve Krishna. Opposite to this, we have lust. We have lust for various things, various desires we want to satisfy, and we have propensity to enjoy rather than propensity to serve. Because of these two vikars, we are here in the material world. It's like a jail. So we are inside a jail. What do you expect jailer to do? Jailer to torture us. So that's why we are being tortured by the jailer. So by surrendering to Krishna, by becoming loyal to Krishna, by becoming devotee of Krishna, jailer will trouble us less, because now jailer knows that you have rectified your mentality of enjoyment and lusty desires, enjoying lusty desires, and you replace it with loving devotional service. Your desire to lovingly serve Krishna, that has been restored. So now you're still in jail. Therefore, Krishna used the word tarantite. Taranti is like swim over. When you swim over on us, when you swim in water, 60, 70, 80% of your body always remains in water, is wet. It's inside the water. Only your head and maybe 20% of your body is above the water. Um, Implies that you're always going to be in Maya. As long as you're wandering in this material world, you are always going to be in Maya, under the influence of Maya. You'll never be completely free from Maya. Why? Because this is like, just like while in water, while swimming in water, you cannot become dry unless you get out of the water. So while in water, you will always be wet. And hence the word tarantite is very significant. So you will always remain in Maya. You will always remain under the influence of Maya as long as you are present in the material world. But she's not troubling you anymore, as much as she's troubling others. If you choose to surrender to Krishna, if you choose to love Krishna, if you become lover of Krishna, if you become servant of Krishna, if you choose to lovingly serve Krishna with all your heart, or whatever you have, you want to engage for satisfying Krishna, then Maya sees that and withdraws herself from you. She focuses her attention on something else. And there are so many customers of Maya who are willingly, you know, willingly accepting her superiority and serving her. So instead of serving, because they don't want to serve Krishna. So in a brief, so that is the position of Maya, and hence it's, as long as we are here in this material world, we will have some influence of Maya. But if we choose to surrender to Krishna and follow with seriousness and sincerity the process given by Srila Prabhupada, then we will not get affected by Maya. Maya will always be there. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Vansh. So we'll conclude today's session.